Kia ora everybody, ko Nathan Harper toku ingoa no Putaruru oku te puna kei te noho o ki mātangi. Hi everybody, my name's Nathan Harper. I'm the consultant team leader on the Cambridge Connections project, and I'm from a company called Invoice Limited. I'm here today to speak to you about the progress with the project and to let you know where we've got to over the last couple of months. The purpose of this presentation is to update stakeholders on project progress, outline the shortlist options and the emerging preferred option that we've come up with. I'll briefly run you through the background. I'll outline the shortlist options and describe how we went through the assessment of that shortlist options. I'll also outline how you can give your feedback on the options we considered and a bit of next steps as to where we go from here. Right, some background. Cambridge Connections, our future transport plan, was a priority recommendation from the waipadc transport strategy. It's in full alignment with the Ahuaki Community Spatial Plan and will define the shape of Cambridge's transport infrastructure for the next 30 years. It responds to the question, evolving Cambridge's transport system to manage growth. It's intended to be a long-term program with short, medium and long-term horizons, and is intended to be a holistic response, not focused on just infrastructure. It also needs to include policy interventions, integrated planning, and travel demand management, etc. The outcome of the project will be a program business case, or PBC, to submit to the NZ Transport Agency Whakatahi and or any other funding pathways that become available. I'm showing on the screen the steps that we've taken in developing the Cambridge Connections program business case. So first off, we started by forming the evidence base. Then we defined the problems that we were facing and set the objectives for what we wanted to achieve with the project. We developed a long list of ideas, and we then refined that into a short list of programs. Where we find ourselves right now is in the little kind of purple colour there, where we're refining the preferred program, and we're coming out to the stakeholders at this time to get some feedback on the assessment and to understand a little bit better how they think that we've done. The business case is intended to be completed in around June 2024. Right, here are the problem statements that the project steering group has developed through the project. The first problem is a car-dependent transport system in Cambridge, exacerbated by growth, results in increasing congestion and poor transport choices. The second problem is an over-reliance on key connections to perform multiple functions, resulting in conflicts, reduced amenity and poor system resilience. And I've given a little note there that key connections includes Victoria Bridge. And the second problem really tries to drive at that we require certain transport connections within Cambridge to do a lot of heavy lifting, to perform a lot of different roles, and probably too many roles as it stands. The benefits that we expect to get from investing in Cambridge Connections is improved amenity in the town centre, improved accessibility by active modes in public transport, reduced greenhouse gas emissions, improved safety, and possibly more importantly, the perception of safety, which is very important for walking and cycling, and improved system resilience. The corresponding investment objectives we've developed to improve accessibility by active modes in public transport, to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by reducing distance travelled by private cars, to improve amenity of the town centre, improving mode share and the perception of amenity that we experience there, to improve safety for active modes, and to improve system resilience by reducing the risk and consequences of events on the transport system. Okay, our shortlist options. The shortlist options were developed from a big long list of 129 issues and constraints and ideas that were submitted by stakeholders earlier in the project and at previous sessions. So we've developed a business as usual, and that's kind of looking at a scenario where we continue to do what we've always done in Cambridge under that scenario, and 3 shortlist options. All options build on the business as usual. So in that way, the business as usual is kind of our baseline, that everything is compared back to it, and we measure how effective the things we're proposing are against it. So it's kind of a hypothetical future if we continue to do what we've always done. All options are integrated standalone programs. So within each program or each option, the program works together within itself, and it is a combination of different interventions and investments that we could make that kind of marry up and provide a coherent approach to dealing with the issue. I won't spend too much time on this slide, but essentially we've got our business as usual there in column B. Option A, which is road building to manage congestion. The focus of that option is to enable private car to travel around as we are historically used to in Cambridge. Option B is looking to improve more transport choice, to provide more walking and cycling and public transport, to give people options for how they might want to get around. Option C then enhances that transport choice, looking to further amplify that walking and cycling and public transport, and really make a difference with that to how people can access services and employment around Cambridge. So this table really looks to sort of compare on one page what the different approaches are in the shortlist and how it sort of teases out into the options. But I'll describe the options, which I think will fill you in a bit further. Right, business as usual. So this option, as I said, is kind of our basis for comparison. It really projects a future where about 30 years from now, we've completed the projects that are in our long-term plan, and projects that are currently being built. So you can see a map across on the right-hand side there. It also includes a lot of developer-led infrastructure. So we know that Cambridge is going to grow a lot over the next 30 or so years, probably more. And so you can see a lot of that sort of dark blue lines is actually planned delivered infrastructure. So in terms of the investment from council and from NZ Transport Agency into this particular option, this really is a sort of a baseline, a minimum investment for what we might expect Cambridge to operate like in the future, based around how we currently live now. So I think I've already sort of reiterated that all the business as usual assumptions are included in all the options. So as I said, this is the basis for comparison for everything. It really just includes all committed projects that council has planned, as I said, as well as that developer infrastructure. Option A, the focus of option A is to enable private cars as much as we have in the past. So the key changes here, you can see on the map on the right-hand side, is large-scale widening of transport corridors on Cambridge Road, on Victoria Road, and through Carter's Flat. So looking to essentially provide more capacity for private cars to relieve any congestion. That's not to say that every other sort of mode has been forgotten. There is a recognition that public transport will continue to improve incrementally between now and, say, 2055. There is some inclusion, as you can see in the pieces in orange there, little roundabouts and crossings that have been identified by council officers. So safety improvements there. You will notice that the Victoria Bridge is walking and cycling only. It's closed to cars. We know that Victoria Bridge is coming to the end of its useful life as a bridge. It is a historic bridge, so it will continue to stand there. And this option proposes that we'll continue to use it for walking and cycling, but that cars and trucks would go to a new out-of-town crossing, which you can see is shown in a fairly kind of large shaded area out to the west of the town. So the idea here is that traffic will be able to move between Leamington and West Cambridge quite easily via that new crossing, but that traffic will no longer need to go via Cambridge, sort of the high-level bridge on Victoria Street. Having said that, though, one thing we've found during the project is actually that a lot of traffic within Cambridge is actually Cambridge traffic. There was possibly a preconception for the project that we would have a lot of traffic going to Hamilton and back from Hamilton, and yes, we have some, but it's not as high as you'd think. More than sort of 3/4 actually is Cambridge related traffic, and that's quite important because it means that the solutions that we're looking at need to really deliver for that local Cambridge traffic. On to option B, improving mode choice. So the differences in this option really come down to providing much more choice in terms of walking and cycling and public transport. That's by providing a more comprehensive urban mobility network. I haven't shown that on the map here, it would become a bit busy, but if you can imagine a large interconnected kind of walking cycling network throughout the town, it would be relatively easy to get around. From a public transport perspective, there would be a frequent bus service to Hamilton every 20 to 30 minutes, but also to help feed that is a local Cambridge service every 20 minutes, which would circulate around town, enable those local people to get to those local destinations, and also to connect to that more frequent service to Hamilton. The safety improvements are still there as per the previous option. Corridor improvements, though, you'll notice largely focus on Victoria Road, where we're looking at a more optimization type to get people in and out of side roads to help them get around safely, but that wouldn't include traffic capacity as such. You can see there's a short amount of widening coming through Victoria Road, and then further optimisation of Victoria Street and Carter's Flat and down through Shakespeare Street to really connect up the walking and cycling through those corridors. You can also see the Victoria Bridge is closed in this option as well, but this one includes what we refer to as an in-town river crossing for all modes to the west of the city centre, sorry, the town centre. And that performs quite a decent job of providing kind of local Cambridge connections for Cambridge related trips. It helps to service the CBD, but it does take a lot of traffic out of Victoria Street and gives us opportunities actually in Victoria Street for what we might want to do there. So yeah, this option really is about trying to give more choices other than car to move around, to access the town centre, etc. As well as kind of fix some of the hot spots in the sense of how people want to get in and out of side roads. So you can see there's a few more traffic signals and roundabouts around the place to help people get around. Because this has more public transport and walking and cycling, it does transfer those trips to those modes, which means that we get a reduction in traffic generally. Option C essentially takes that idea another step further. It further amplifies the walking, cycling, public transport. From an infrastructure perspective, there's very little difference proposed between options B and option C. But option C is mainly about trying to make sure that our walking cycling network is very safe. So this includes much more separated cycle facilities, and it also includes the same frequent bus to Hamilton every 20 to 30 minutes, but then amplifies the local Cambridge service every 10 minutes. So a very local service around Cambridge, and that would be frequent enough that you'd be able to walk to the bus stop without having checked your timetable, and a bus will be along, within 10 minutes to pick you up. So really does make it much more convenient to get around by bus. So that was the shortlist. We did an assessment of the shortlist. We did what they refer to as a multi-criteria assessment, and those criteria were grouped into 4 categories. The first one is investment criteria. Does this achieve the objectives that we set out for the project? The second one is implementability. How hard would this be to implement? What are the implications from a technical perspective? How hard would it be to consent? Those sorts of questions. And then opportunities and impacts. What is the environmental, the social, the cultural, mana whenua, property, community impacts that this option will have? How will the community respond to the option? And then lastly, by no means leastly, cost. How much would this all cost? I should note that as it stands and as we present it to you today, the multi-criteria assessment is still considered interim. We haven't finished it quite yet. There are a couple of things that we need to polish off. Here's what the results look like against those 4 criteria categories that I just outlined. So from an investment perspective, you can see that in terms of our investment objectives and what we think these options will deliver, options B and option C are far preferred over option A. We think that options B and C will be easier to implement. It doesn't require so much widening, which will have implications on property, on street trees, on general amenity around the place. And then in terms of the opportunities and impacts as well, we think that options B and C will have a lot less impacts and will likely be more supported by all sort of tiers of the community. Make it safer to get around, make it more convenient to get around if you haven't got a car, etc. And costs is actually relatively balanced across the 3. Option A is the most expensive, but not considerably more so than options B or C. So you can see that even though this is an interim MCA, and then we still need to complete our mana whenua engagement on these options and complete some maintenance and operating costs and economic evaluation criteria, it's very, very strong result that option C to enhance transport choice is our preferred option. So option C we describe as the emerging preferred option. It's seen as the more ambitious strategy for Cambridge, promoting lower traffic in the town and a higher quality town centre where we don't require the town centre to carry all of our traffic that's heading across the river. Option C includes enhanced walking and cycling network across the town that'll be safer for people to use, that'll be separated from cars more and more often, and also provides frequent buses to Hamilton and to local buses within Cambridge. The inner bridge location better supports the town centre through decongesting Victoria Street, enabling amenity improvements where we might want to make them through Victoria Street particularly. Public transport, obviously, walking and cycling, also gives us opportunities for carrying water across the bridge and any other utilities that may need to cross the river that can't be carried by our existing crossings. So how can you feedback? Firstly, we'd really like to hear what you think about the emerging preferred option. Do you agree with the emerging preferred option, option C? What do you like? Maybe what don't you like? Are there any other comments you think that we haven't covered here? Now, if you want to provide some feedback on the emerging preferred option, you can use the feedback form, which will be provided to you, or you can email that cambridgeconnections@waipadc.govt.nz. In terms of next steps, for the project, we're doing those stakeholder information sessions now. We will be going out to the public on the emerging program to see what the public think. Once though that sort of feedback has been taken, we'll look to develop up that preferred program to establish some short, medium, long-term priorities and to sort of plot the path for how we might deliver that across Cambridge. We're looking to complete the business case in about June 2024. At that point, the preferred program will be, or the recommended program I should say, will be taken to Waipa District Council for endorsement to go ahead, and also to the NZ Transport Agency Waka Kotahi for funding endorsement, which means that we could proceed to implement the program and the next steps. There is obviously our website. You can see the link there on the screen, and there are frequently asked questions available on the website and our responses to them if you want a little bit more information. So thank you very much for your time. I hope listening to some disconnected head on the internet wasn't too draining for you, but we're really keen to hear what you want to say about the Cambridge Connections project, and particularly that emerging preferred option. So please give us your feedback, and we'll look forward to seeing you at the next step. Thank you.